Greetings and welcome to my winning YouTube vlog. Today I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the processes that I use in creating a YouTube video. And I want to encourage you guys to perhaps at least consider doing the same thing with your channels. So with that in mind, the process, or more particularly what process I use to get my video from start to finish. And with any video, it usually starts out with the checklist. And the checklist is probably my most important tool that I've come to rely upon for ensuring I have all my bases covered, especially when I'm working on a video over multiple days. Because like most YouTubers, we actually have lives outside of YouTube, and we're not constantly sitting in front of the editing program knocking things out daily, which would probably be the vast majority of us, except a few YouTubers in general. But what that does imply, though, is that you're going to have to be working on these projects over several days, and when that happens, stuff that seems so clear to you on the first day won't necessarily be remembered until the third day, and that's why the checklist is of absolute importance, because it helps you function as a reminder specific to what you're creating. So let's go ahead and dive straight into the checklist. Your checklist is going to look different than mine, and I'll go ahead and reveal some of my checklists, but I won't give away all of it, as I plan to include it in a future event thing. You get the idea. So, in the beginning of my checklist, I have the content. Where am I getting the content from? And I have several sources listed there where I pull my content from. But it's important to know when you're working on a particular title, where that content is coming from, because it can change other parts of the checklist. So your first section will be, content. Is it coming from YouTube's videos that they make available for you to use? Is it coming from, other sites that allow you to use their content, or, paying for that content? Where is it coming into your workflow? After that, you typically have the checklist transition into general points that you need to cover. For instance, the thing you might want to have on your checklist is, add video title. Another one would probably be tags. And you'd probably have, if you're deriving the social media, any appropriate hashtags for your content that you're adding in your message when you're sending it out. So, you get the idea that it's primarily there to assist you. And then as you check these things off on your checklist, it allows you to see, I finished this last, I haven't worked on this. And that's important because I've had crazy things slip past my workflow until I had this checklist in place, like forgetting annotations and then remembering 5 minutes before a video comes out. You get the idea. So, checklists are a big component of my workflow creation. The next step would probably be social media. And I have a very standard formula for the social media. And by that, I mean Facebook is there, but it isn't as critical. Google Plus has a lot of importance if only people knew how to use it. And that makes about everyone. There's no real good users of Google Plus. In fact, there's been rumors I've been hearing in the tech news sphere that Google is going to be branching out products from Google Plus, just that way they can figure out what to do with what the network is. In fact, they might even rename it. So by the time you see this video in 2 or 3 years' time, or even more, it probably won't even be called Google Plus anymore. I mean, if you recall, there were videos a couple years ago talking about Google Wave. Yeah, who remembers Google Wave anymore? My point exactly. Google has a social networking issue. The next point on the social media train would probably be Twitter. Twitter is the platform that I use to get the most bang for my buck in terms of messaging. Yes, there's a very high percentage that your tweet is going to be wiped out by millions of other tweets. It happens. However, for that brief moment, you get maximum exposure. And if you follow simple growth strategies, which I will include in another video, for Twitter, you could gain quite a following in a relatively short period of time without being marked as a bot or a spammer. And you'll be able to get your message out there and attract people who are interested in your particular niche. They're actually both correct, by the way. And that's important because you want to attract, using the social sphere, people who are interested in your content. I use Twitter for that. The nice thing is Twitter you could use to build up and ramp up expectations. I'll go ahead and reveal one Twitter strategy that I use that you might want to adopt. I release videos weekly. Why? Because videos every day is too much pressure for me. I like once a week. It keeps it consistent, smooth, and I can keep production quality relatively high. So the way I do that is I release Friday Eastern. And that's typically where most people are that bring in the money via AdSense. Because remember, I'm running this as a business and also as a nice channel. Because I'm not going to tell you what the channel is. So having the ability to meet my specific demographic at a time that they're looking for particular videos is very, very important. So for me, I release around lunchtime Eastern because that's the type of the audience I'm trying to reach. Because by the time it hits West Coast or transitions across the Atlantic, the film is relatively new. The advantage of having a Friday release schedule is I could start building up hype on Wednesday and Thursday to sort of prime my audience for the release of the video. And that's actually quite nice because the audience knows and expects via your Twitter that something is going to be coming out on Friday and they're ready for it. In fact, they might even be retweeting your hype, which helps build more hype, which is important. You can't have enough hype until you're too big. And by that point, overhype is a serious problem. But for most YouTubers, especially if you're starting out, it's not going to be an issue. In fact, you want to get as much messaging out as possible. So my weekly schedule for Twitter will be something like this. On Monday, I'll post a informative tweet. That informative tweet typically will relate to my specific channel, but in a positive manner because Twitter loves positive messages being shared around. So a good example of positive message would be, today is a day unlike any other day. Today is good because there's only one day like it. I mean, something generic enough, but at the same time, positives. That way people feel like they're motivated to meet the day when they read that tweet. It also helps, improve the image that you're actually giving thought to these rather than retweeting a million times. And believe me, retweeting is not something Twitter likes a lot. They actually like content and original content to boot. So with that in mind, that's my Monday. My Tuesday, I will like a video that I created 2 weeks ago. The advantage that serves is that it shows up as a tweet. I've taken care of my tweet. I typically tweet once a day, in case you're wondering. But that takes care of my tweet for the day. It also gives a second chance exposure to the video I made 2 weeks ago. And that's important because YouTube sees that, hey, this thing has some new life to it. Someone liked it, so it boosts YouTube stats. It boosts Twitter stats because people could say, hey, I remember seeing that 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go back and find that tweet, and I'm going to click it because maybe I haven't seen it. Maybe I skipped over it that day. And so it gives a second chance of exposure, which is really good, especially when you're starting a new channel. The next day, that would be Wednesday at this point, because you remember Monday was the feel good positive tweet. Tuesday was the liking of a 2-week-old video. Wednesday will be a day where I will state that I am working on a video. I may have already been working on it Monday and Tuesday, but this is where you want to start building up the hype. So you say on Wednesday that yes, you are working on a video, and you typically want to keep it positive. So you might say I'm happily or expectantly or am excited about working on this video. So that way people know that you have some passion behind the video you are creating. That brings me to Thursday. And Thursday and Wednesday are going to be very similar, but also a little different. And that Thursday, you'll add this: finishing up the final touches to the video, or some variation of that. So that way people know that, hey, this video is ready. It is primed. It's going to look good. It's had 2 days, according to Twitter, of hard work on it. So, the Twitter sphere is already very well primed and are expecting Friday's release at that point. And then you have the Friday release, where YouTube will handle your tweet for you, which is nice if you include a message in there, any relevant hashtags. And it'll pump it out as your tweet. It'll have the video. Your Twitter followers have already been primed for the video, so they'll go ahead and click it, which will boost its score, especially through links. Because as people follow the links from Twitter into YouTube, YouTube takes notice of that. It boosts your YouTube score. It also gives you very nice exposure to the videos. And then as people view that video, YouTube says, hey, this video is now trending, and it will start displaying it on other channel pages, and it helps reinforce the cycle. So after Friday, that brings us to Saturday. On Saturday, I typically post a picture relevant to my field. So that way people are not only getting 3 times a week multimedia content, they are also getting informative and helpful tweets on the other days, which brings us to Sunday. Sunday, I'll typically post, once again, one of those positive, uplifting tweets. And that rolls into Monday as well. So that way there's a nice breather between the Saturday and the Tuesday multimedia focused posts. And that's my typical Twitter schedule. It tends to be very effective, I found, in getting people to not only watch and like your videos, but also get engagement and getting people talking and retweeting. That's all that I have for this week on the Winning YouTube Vlog. This is James McCorn, and I'm hoping to see you here next time as I talk about other subjects and topics that are important and relevant to me. This is James McCorn, signing off.